Well, good afternoon, and thanks for coming back. We appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity of addressing you today. You might know Maneras is the largest provider of innovative payment solutions in Canada. 1 in 3 transactions that are processed electronically in Canada are processed by Maneras. We offer hardware and software, and we help transform businesses and enable them to grow and thrive. We've been at the forefront deploying innovative solutions in Canada for over 18 years. You might know things about Maneras like we were the first to develop and launch an iOS and Android chip and PIN, contactless and debit mobile solution in Canada. But you may not know that when we did that in March of 2014, we were the first in the world to deploy that sort of solution set. Maneras was also the first in Canada to launch an unattended chip and PIN, contactless software and hardware in 2016, and it was targeted at parking and kiosks. But you may not know that in fact we were the first in North America to deploy that kind of solution. And that we also enabled tokenization and omni-channel support for subscription-based billing with that solution. In October 2017, Maneras was the first to add Interact Debit to our iOS SDKs. And we've been the first acquirer in Canada to offer end-to-end encryption with our integrated merchants, and we've been doing that for almost 7 years now. We process over 500 million transactions using end-to-end encryption, and we've also enhanced that with tokenization services to help our merchants maintain their customers' data and protect sensitive card data. But we actually also offer tokenization services to partners and customers who don't use us for payments processing, and you may not have known that about us. In 2016, we won the Ingenious Award for our new cloud-based point-of-sale solution, which we debuted at Suite World with NetSuites in 2016, and we've brought it to Canada at this point. And we can do all of this because we own and operate our full technology stack, and that's unique in this business. It gives us the ability to design and innovate and adjust to the needs of our customers and the market. So that was my little advert, but it's also to establish our credentials as innovators. You might expect me to continue to talk about one of those types of technology, or to talk about fintech, or to talk about FIs. But in fact, I have chosen a different topic. And it's one that I feel is an important one for all of us to address. When you look at the headlines that we've been witnessing over the last few months, whether it's a Senate hearing about data usage and protection, whether it's an issue with diversity or inclusion, or it's about the next data breach. So it got me thinking about innovating with integrity, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So let's start with the definition of integrity. It's the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. And in payments, we can add to that and say it's about being trusted and accurate and reliable. So we know what integrity means, but how do we put that into practice? That's a great concept. I think the first thing is it comes down to values. At Maneras, integrity isn't just a word. It's actually part of our DNA. We emerged from the banks, and banks take fiduciary responsibility very seriously. And as I was preparing my remarks, I was asking myself, can you really put the words fiduciary responsibility into the same sentence as innovation? But I think you can, and I think that's what makes the difference. So integrity can be part of your DNA, as it is for us, but it's also got to be part of your values. And you've got to incorporate that into your corporate values. Our corporate values show an emphasis on both integrity and innovation. They're relating everything we do to the customer, doing the right thing, owning our commitments, connecting our ideas to grow together as a team, and challenging the status quo. So, how do you take those wonderful corporate values and put them into practice? As human beings, we often struggle to connect our day-to-day activities with what are our core values. Who here has not driven like an aggressive, nasty jerk in Toronto traffic, even though that really doesn't match your core values of the lovely, nice person that you are? It's so easy to lose the thread between daily activities and your values. So how do we do that with 2,000 employees and help them connect their daily activities to the corporate values that are important to us? So this is how we get to the Maneras integrity framework. Why would we have a framework? Why is that necessary? Well, I'm going to draw a parallel to another attribute of the business that we use a framework to manage, and that is risk. And if you think about it, risk and integrity are similar in that they cut across many different functions inside an organization. You might have a risk department, but the truth is they're working with the entire business to make sure that risk is managed and measured and that it's broken down into digestible components. And why can't we do the same thing with integrity? And so that's what you're going to see with our framework. We've broken it down into what we identify as the key components for us. And we've also identified that we want this to be a data-driven exercise and one that we can ultimately manage and measure the integrity that we bake in to what we do. And so, why do we emphasize data-driven? Because as we all know, you manage what you measure. And if you find the right metrics, which signify that you have incorporated integrity into your solution, into your business practices, into the way that you interact with your customer and your employees, then you're going to know that you're on the right path. You're going to be able to identify your gaps, you're going to be able to address them, and drive integrity into everything that you do. So, starting with the top of our framework, we want to start with people. And that's our customers and our employees. Offering a high-value customer experience across all the touch points that we have with our customers is a key part of our integrity framework. Customer experience can be measured by the quality of the services that we provide, the efficiency of the onboarding experience, the channels that they can access us through, the depth of support, and ultimately, customer satisfaction. At Maneras, we already track many of these metrics, and we're enhancing our capabilities through our CRM and through our customer council. Similarly, we're very focused on measuring how we're performing with our employees. And you can take the same kinds of approaches, same metrics, to say how well are we onboarding our employees? How well are we helping them with their career path? And what does the employee engagement and their culture look like? And how do we take it to the next level so that we can give them the best employee experience possible? Privacy for us and for payments is a big part of an integrity framework. It certainly is, in the latest headlines, you can see that data breaches or the breach of trust in how data gets used is a huge part of the issues that the industry can be facing. At Maneras, we have invested in leading technology. I mentioned tokenization, but there's so many investments going on in cybersecurity. I know you all would be in the same shoes making those investments. But we are also committed to the right practices. And as Bruce mentioned, there's a tremendous amount of depth that comes from that banking background and our partnerships with banks. And it might seem a little old-fashioned that some of those practices are in place, something like dual custody. But you know, those are the practices that also ensure integrity in the system. And so privacy and driving privacy of data is going to be a critical part, and there are ways to measure whether you've achieved that or not. Accessibility is another big part of it. It's a very big component, and it means accessibility for our customers to the services and the support that they need. How easily can they reach us, and can they reach us through their preferred channel? As well, it means ensuring that our employees can access the services and support that they need. Accessibility applies to both the digital and the physical worlds. In the digital world, it may mean employing machine learning to help customers quickly resolve their problems. In the physical world, it may mean making sure that our devices are user-friendly. And to that end, in July, we're launching a new user experience, an omni-channel experience that brings together the UX across our terminals, our website, our e-commerce platforms, and our mobile solutions. So merchants can train their employees once and navigate through different channels seamlessly. Omni-channel, which is always discussed as part of something that retailers are working on, has to come to the back end and the support that we offer to those customers. In the physical world, accessibility can also mean that we make sure our premises are accessible to our employees who may have physical or mental disabilities. So you can see there's a lot of ways to look at and measure accessibility and make sure that you're on the right track. So you can do great things for people, you can do the right things on privacy and accessibility, but you can still miss the mark if you're not communicating. We need authentic communications to customers and employees that are clear, that are provided through the medium of choice for that person. They arrive on a timely basis, and they are at the appropriate frequency. Whether it's through our advertising, email communications, digital targeting, or CRM, we allow our customers to communicate with us in the ways that they want. Our employee surveys also tell us that there's a huge appetite for communication, and we are starting to work on tailoring our communication channels for Gen X, yes, but Gen Z, because they're different. And finally, the component of transparency. Now, why did we put that component into our framework? It's because, as you can see from some of the news stories that we've seen, you can have a privacy policy. You can have a focus on customer needs to a very large degree, and yet somehow, if you're not delivering that in a transparent way, you can be failing your customer and failing on the integrity measurement. I'm sure that all of those companies that ended up in a headline had a privacy policy of some sort. They also had ways to allow you to tailor your services. But for anyone here who's tried to shut down the media feeds that they are getting through their social media platforms, or to remove all of the information about them that they didn't want shared elsewhere, it is not so easy. It is not transparent. And so there's work for them to do, and I think a lot of them are acknowledging that, and I think we can hold ourselves to the same standard and ask, how many clicks does it take for a customer to get to the controls they want, to understand the pricing that we offer, the products that we offer, and the way that we want to interact with them. So transparency, a little tougher to measure, but I believe there's ways to do it, and I believe if you don't, that you may have done everything else right and still not got the right level of integrity baked into your support systems. So that's our integrity framework. We're challenging ourselves to continue to improve the ways that we deliver and make sure that we continue to be innovative, which I think we've proven we have a track record of doing, but to do it with the highest level of integrity. I believe that Maneras does this very well, and that in fact we are a great Canadian success story. But what I really wanted to say to this audience here was that I've had a chance to see the payments industry at a global level, and that the Canadian payments industry, in fact, is a great Canadian success story. We can show the world how to innovate with payments and do it with integrity. And whether you are a banker, a regulator, a network, a technology provider, or a processor, together we are already showing the way, and we can continue to show the way. I'm very proud to be a part of the Canadian payments industry. I think there's a lot to look forward to, and I hope that you are also proud. Thank you very much.